Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Quick Break Games, and yes, I have played Funko Fusion, and I am super excited to share with you guys over 30 minutes of Funko Fusion gameplay. Special thanks to 1010 Games for giving me access to this preview build of the game. And yeah, this is what the main menu looks like. This is all on the PC or Steam version of the game, by the way. And yeah, I'm just going to be kind of walking you guys through what I got to play. So I got to play the full worlds of both Jurassic World and Hot Fuzz. And you can see here, this is what the character select screen looks like. So yeah, it looks really good. The character models are super crisp. And I really like how they did this. So each shelf is a different franchise. So you got your Jurassic World shelf with all those characters, and you got your Hot Fuzz shelf, and then you got, your shelf for the Umbrella Academy and the rest of them. So I really like how they organized things in the character roster list here. And you can see here, characters have their own stats as well. So the Jurassic World characters are Owen Grady, Claire Deering, Barry Sabine, and Kayla Watts. So that's the 4 Jurassic World characters I had access to. You can see here there's like a little description about each one, which I like. You can favorite them as well if you hit the Y button or triangle button, depending on what console you're playing on. Here's the Hot Fuzz characters. So we got Nicholas Angel, of course, then Danny Butterman, Doris Thatcher, and Sergeant Fisher. And so you get a good look at all their stats here and their different descriptions. The Hot Fuzz characters actually had alternate outfits or variants in this preview build. There's only one other variant for each of these Hot Fuzz characters. It's like their office attire, like when they're not all armored up. But yeah, that's what the character roster looks like in the game. So now we're just going to be kind of walking through the beginning of the game. This is the tutorial. So you start out, you spawn in the Wonder Factory, the Funko Wonder Factory here, and it teaches you how to switch between characters. So how it works is there's going to be these Funko Pop boxes. You're going to see these like all throughout the game, and that's how you switch characters. So you walk up to them, and you just hold the Y button. So throughout this video, I will be referring to like the Xbox controls just to make things simpler, but you get the idea if you're playing on PlayStation or whatever. And so yeah, throughout the game, you're going to see these pop boxes. You can hold the Y button to just switch to whatever characters in the pop box, or you can hit it with your melee weapon to swap between other characters within that pop box. Or if you're playing in like free play mode, I don't know if it's officially called that, but when you're replaying a level, you can then switch to any character that you've unlocked out of these 60 plus in the game. Anyway, now the game's going to teach us about blue mold machines. So this is where you can craft new abilities in the game. So each of the 7 main worlds in the game have their own special ability, and this is where you can craft them. So the first one is this bounce pads. This is what you get at the beginning of the game when you're in the Wonderworks factory. And so this is like the first blue mold machine ability that you unlock. So this allows you to jump higher. So it's like a little trampoline that you can build, then place down, then jump up to get up onto this higher ledge. There is the Wonderworks factory sign up there, by the way. And this is like a little I don't know, power connector thing that you can then pick up and move and put it in different spots to get the power current moving, to open up doors and solve puzzles and things like that. Here is a green mold machine, so this is where you're going to get more health. You can see here things are locked. I'll show you guys how you unlock more of those things a little bit later, because we will see that. But yeah, this is the green mold machine, so I'm crafting a full health soda. So you drink the Funko soda, and that will restore your health completely. Your health is up there in the top left. It's that green and red bar. The hearts up in the top left are your lives. So you actually have a limited amount of lives in the level. I didn't lose all my lives, so I'm not sure what happens if you lose all of them. I guess it's just a game over. You have to replay the level from scratch. This is a red mold machine here. So there you can craft grenades. That's the only crafting item I did see in the red mold machine. There's going to be a lot more in the full game. But, oh yeah, here we go. Here's the first boss fight at the beginning of the game. So this is the Funko Fox that kind of hangs out with Freddy Funko, the main character of Funko Fusion. And so this is the boss fight. So what you have to do on this one is he's going to ground pound, and you have to kind of jump over the purple smoke. And so you're going to have to shoot his weak spots, which are those like purple sludge spots on his body, or you can also shoot his purple eyeball. And as you do that, he's going to be dropping these little purple blobs that you can pick up and then deposit into this machine. And then once you've picked up 30 of them, that's when you can kind of finish off the boss. And this is going to be a feature that kind of plays into all of the major bosses in the game. And man, look how disgusting that fox looks when he's taken over by Eddy Funko, the villain of the game. So yeah, there's also going to be these enemies that come and attack you as you're trying to fight. And I must say, you're going to see later on, this game is pretty challenging. You can see here in the opening boss fight, I had to health up there, had to drink a Funko Soda, so that's kind of what it looks like in the middle of gameplay. But anyway, I was able to fill up all of the little canister there with all of the purple goop, and then I was able to call in a giant Mecha Freddy to fight against the Eddy Fox, and so there we go. Eddy just gets taken out right there, and then the Mecha Freddy retreats away. And so this is kind of sets up the game here at the very beginning. So Eddy kind of retreats into all the different worlds, and that's kind of where the game begins. And then Freddy kind of gets weakened after that fight, and have to put him in this like pop box Star Wars looking Bacta tank, which is pretty hilarious. Look at that, just like a Bacta tank but in a pop box. So that's kind of the setup of the game. So Freddy's kind of out of commission, and so now we're in the Jurassic World kind of section of the factory, and this is really cool. So each of the 7 worlds had its own floor of the factory, and this really reminded me of like Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga, as you're about to see here. Within that game, you had like, you know, the 6 movies, and each movie had its own little room that represented that movie. And it's very similar here, where you have a different floor representing each franchise, and then there's 5 levels for each of the 7 main franchises in the game. So Jurassic World is one of them, and this is the first level. It's called Dilophosaurus, which is like a little pun on the Dilophosaurus dinosaur. And so this is the opening cutscene here of Jurassic World. So we're just going to be playing through all 5 of the Jurassic World levels, and then all 5 of the Hot Fuzz levels. I think I'm going to show a little bit more of Hot Fuzz. I think there's going to be about 10 minutes that I'm going to show of Jurassic World, and probably like 15 minutes of Hot Fuzz, because Hot Fuzz actually had quite a bit of mechanics being used, whereas I would say Jurassic World is a little bit more combat focused. And look at that. This cutscene was actually in the trailer, but it was Klaus instead of Claire Deering getting her head stuck in the doorway. But yeah, so at the beginning of each level, you're gonna have a room like this where you can switch between characters. If you're replaying the level after story mode, you can switch to any of your unlocked characters. But I think the first time you play through a level, you need to play through it with the proper story mode characters. And you'll also have access to green and red and sometimes blue mold machines at the beginning of each level. You can see here I tried to get some more vinyl, and so there we go. Now I exited the starting room, and this gets straight into the action with all these dinosaurs everywhere that you have to attack. And one interesting thing about the game is, yes, this is Jurassic World, but it doesn't really focus on one specific movie in the Jurassic World franchise. It's kind of like a mix of mainly the first Jurassic World movie and then the last one, Dominion. Not too much from, what was the second one called? Fallen Kingdom, I want to say. Not too much from that one, but it's kind of like its own story, really, because, you know, Eddy Funko kind of arrives and messes things up, which obviously doesn't happen in the original movies. Yeah, it's very interesting. So anyway, right here, I want to show this mechanic. You're going to find these like blue chests that have these blue light bulb icons. So that's how you unlock new abilities for each of these 7 worlds. So you're going to see what the ability is for Jurassic World here in just a second. Also, speaking of enemies here, so this is like one of those hard-headed dinosaurs. I forget the name of these. I'm sure some of you guys will tell me in the comments. But so some of the enemies are a little bit interesting in that you can't just shoot them or melee them. Like, you'll shoot them a bit, and then it'll say you can't shoot them anymore, and you have to melee them, and vice versa. So it kind of forces you to use both melee and ranged attacks on certain enemies. But anyway, so once we find 3 of those blue holographic light bulb pieces and deposit them into a blue mold machine, then we can craft a battery. So a battery is the ability of Jurassic World. So now that we have the battery unlocked, then we can kind of go and use it in any of the worlds in the game. So I could go and use the battery in Hot Fuzz now. So that's kind of how the abilities unlock. Right there you saw me drink a blue Funko Soda that allows you to have infinite stamina for a short period of time. And by the way, the stamina bar is in the top left. It's that circular icon with the crown in the middle. That's your stamina. So when you sprint, you use up stamina. Right here is a silver crown. So there's 294 silver crowns in the game. That might change in the final game, but as of this preview build, there's 294. And there's 7 of them, I believe, in each of the 5 levels in each franchise. So if you do the math, there's 7 main worlds, 5 levels, so that's 35 levels in the game. Plus you have the Cameo levels, which is an additional, 1 per each of the main worlds. So really there's like 45 levels in this game, and they're all pretty long. I'd say they, on average, take about 15 minutes each. Some are a little bit longer, some are a little bit shorter. But yeah, that was the first level that you just saw there. And now you can see here in the main hub, the next doorway will open. Again, it's very similar to the old Lego Star Wars games. You go through the doorway, and this is the second level, Raptor Rescue. And so now I'm trying out Barry as a playable character. Look at his melee weapon. It's like a little green dinosaur stick, which is pretty funny. Here's mechanic. So Barry has a shotgun. So each character has a different ranged weapon. You can see here the shotgun is a little annoying because as you're trying to shoot those golden locks, the shotgun like doesn't work all the time. Whereas if you're using like a gun like Owen Grady has, like a single shot, it's much easier to hit those golden locks. Yeah, there's all sorts of puzzles throughout this game, by the way, guys. But yeah, and also in terms of combat, there are light and heavy attacks. So if you just tap like the X button on Xbox, that's going to be like your regular light melee attack. And if you hold the attack button, it'll do a heavy attack. So there are light and heavy melee attacks, and of course you've got your ranged weapon. And you don't just have your ranged weapon that's on your character, you also have ranged weapons that you can find throughout the game. And also some characters right here, as you're seeing, there's a shield. So Barry has a shield, and I think Doris has a shield in the Hot Fuzz universe. So yeah, some characters have a shield that you can use with the B button on Xbox. And there I just found a soda proto part. That was one of those green holographic items. So you can deposit those in the green mold machines, and that's how you unlock new Funko Soda. But I didn't unlock any more in this preview build because you had to find 5 of them, and I couldn't find 5. I don't know if there was even 5 available, so that is how you unlock more things in the green mold shop. And then you can also unlock more things in the red mold shop, or mold machine, I should say. And that's how you unlock like the Thunder Stick. Seems to be the first item that you unlock, but you have to find 5 proto parts. I think I only ended up finding 2. And by the way, this is the 3rd level that we're on now, so I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. So this 3rd level is called Gigabytes, which is kind of funny. Giga and then B-I-T-E-S. But yeah, this is a boss fight against this dinosaur here. And here I actually died. So when you die, you turn into a ghost. You drop everything that's in your inventory, and you have to go to the nearest pop box and kind of revive yourself. So that was 10,000 vinyl to revive myself. It seems to be a random price because you're going to see I die later on, and it's like a different price every time, so I'm not sure how that price is calculated. I imagine when you're playing co-op, you can get revived. And by the way, I haven't experienced co-op at all. This was just a single-player build of the game, so I didn't get to see exactly how co-op works. There's no cross-play. It's just online co-op with people on the same console as you. And also, there's no local split screen either, so it's just online with people, on Xbox or on PlayStation, whatever you're playing on. And there is Eddy Funko as the Indominus Rex, by the way. And this is the 4th level that we're on, by the way. This is called Pyro Gyro. And so this is where Maisie's in this little gyro ball, and you have to kind of protect her. This is sort of like an escort mission. So you're kind of protecting her, staying close to her. Here is the yellow Funko Soda. So there's lots of different colored Funko Soda. So the yellow one makes it so you sprint really fast for like 2 minutes or so. So that's pretty cool. And the enemies can use Funko Soda as well. Like sometimes you'll see the enemies glowing yellow or glowing blue. So they're using the different Funko Sodas. And now we're on the last level. So this is Main Street Mayhem. So this is we've kind of seen quite a bit of this in some of the gameplay trailers and stuff that they've released. But this is where you're actually fighting the Eddy Indominus Rex. And this game's pretty challenging. Look, I'm getting hit up from everywhere. There's like snipers. I don't know if the game's easier if you're playing co-op. It might be. It's because you have more people helping you out. But then again, there might be more enemies spawning in too. I'm not sure. But here I'm using one of the weapons that I found off the ground. I was using it there. So there are ranged weapons that you'll find, which are kind of cool. And so here, this works just like the Fox boss fight that I showed at the beginning. So you're kind of shooting those weak spots, those glowing spots on the Indominus Rex. And it's going to drop this purple goop that you can pick up and then deposit it in this nearby little canister. And then once the canister's full, you can then deploy a character to come and help you. And in this case, the character is the T-Rex. So once the T-Rex spawns in, you can just freely attack Eddy. And then after you do that for a little bit, there's going to be a cutscene plays, which kind of defeats the main boss. So it seems like at the end of all of the 7 major worlds, you're going to have a boss fight similar to this, where you have to shoot all the weak spots, fill up the canister, and then call in a helper character to help you out. So, that might get a little bit repetitive. I don't know, because you're going to see the same thing or a similar thing with Hot Fuzz. There's Eddy getting popped out there. So yeah, some of the boss fights might feel a little samey. We'll have to see in terms of my criticisms of the game. I'm trying to think of what else I didn't really like as much. I guess one worry is that the characters might feel a little bit the same. Like, yes, they have different stats and they have different weapons, but some of them have like the same weapon, so we'll have to see. There is a little mini Funko there of Frisch's Big Boy, which is pretty funny. So now that we defeated or beat the Jurassic World level, we defeated Eddy there. We can then get a golden crown, which we then can deposit down this crown chute in the main hub at the Wonderworks factory. And these seem to unlock special cutscenes around the backstory of Eddy Funkos. These are called narrative crowns.
Life is pain. It is chaos and rage, fear and abandonment. But from all this, there comes a sweet and terrible purpose.
Okay, so that was the first little cutscene there that you get for unlocking narrative crowns throughout the game. So I imagine as you beat each boss, you're going to learn more and more about the backstory of Eddy through those little kind of two-dimensional cutscenes. So very cool there. They're definitely building out the lore here of Funko Fusion. So now we're going to switch over to Hot Fuzz, which is where we're going to spend most of the rest of the gameplay here. And so now we can just pick any of the 4 Hot Fuzz characters. I think I start out as Nicholas Angel. And so we're now moving down a level in the factory into the Hot Fuzz area. Now, there are 5 main doors, which is what I got to experience in the game. But you can see here, and we saw this also in the Jurassic World floor, but there's like 2 doors in the back on the other side of the room. So I don't know if those are for the Cameo levels. I thought there was only 1 Cameo level per world or per franchise, but I'm not sure. I don't know what those 2 levels are, because both Jurassic World and Hot Fuzz have like 2 additional levels kind of in the back of their room in the Wonderworks factory. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I didn't have access to those 2 bonus levels, but we're going to be jumping into the 5 main Hot Fuzz levels here now. Here I'm just kind of showing off the character roster a bit, but now we're in the first Hot Fuzz level. This one's called Prime Time Crime. And this kind of takes place like over halfway through the movie. And I'd say Hot Fuzz definitely follows the course of the movie a lot closer than Jurassic World did. Jurassic World's more of like a mix of, you know, the first Jurassic World movie and Dominion, whereas this follows the story a lot more closely, I'd say. And so with Jurassic World, we had the battery as the ability that you can craft in the blue mold machines for that world. With Hot Fuzz, you've got these little crime scene cameras, and this is the ability for Hot Fuzz. And so this is the first crime scene. And so for these crime scenes, you get on the camera and you just kind of like look around with your black light and you try to find different areas. So all you do is just kind of look around until the game, you know, kind of points out a different spot that you should be looking at. And once we find all of them, then you can, you know, progress and kind of solve the mystery. It kind of plays a 3D hologram of what happened. And this blank just got real. So there you can see the profanity in the game. There is some profanity in the text bubbles, which you're going to see later on as well. And there is Simon Skinner, I believe his name is, one of the villains of Hot Fuzz. And he comes in on the card just like the movie. There's a lot of movie references in this game, by the way. And so now I found another one of these blue parts, and once you deposit 3 of them into the blue mold machine, now we've unlocked the CSI Blacklight ability, which you get from Hot Fuzz. Now I can use this in any of the different worlds in the game. So now I could go back to Jurassic World and use it if I wanted to. And look at this. This is the brutality of Funko Fusion on display. Yeah, so they are definitely using that T for teen rating. So after he just gets demolished in the head, you can then set up your black light and do another one of these crime scenes. A lot of the first level, you're going to be doing a lot of these different crime scenes throughout Hot Fuzz here. And yeah, so now after you solve the crime scene, you're going to see, just like the movie where the villain pushes off the statue onto the guy below. And so now we're going to follow the swan throughout the level. And this is a pretty big world. You have access to most of it in the first level. So as you progress through the different levels of the game, you know, it'll change time of days and stuff like that. So you'll get to see this area at nighttime as well, I think in the next level. Look at this. Fascist, she says. but she's actually just playing a crossword puzzle, just like the movie. So lots of different Easter eggs in this game. There's Easter eggs to other franchises. There's a lot to find. I imagine people are going to find some crazy stuff in this game. And there's where the house gets blown up. And also another feature that you're going to see quite a bit throughout the Hot Fuzz levels is this little security camera feature where you can access these cameras. Then you usually have to follow like some sort of electrical wire trail to solve the puzzle. And so here we can follow the electrical wire over to the front door and get that open, allowing you access to this next crime scene. So then what you have to do is find another black light by crafting it at the blue mold machine. Then after we do that, you'll solve it. You'll get a little hologram of kind of what happened. No simple gas leak could cause this. So yeah, this game has a lot of personality. Like you'll definitely get a lot more out of it if you're familiar with, you know, the franchise or the movie. I'm glad I watched Hot Fuzz before playing this because I was able to understand it a lot more. And you might be a little lost, you know, if you haven't watched the movies. But yeah, so here we're solving another one. So we're accessing another camera, doing this little puzzle. We have to follow this trail and then turn these different wheels to get water flowing through this pipe. And so yeah, there's lots of different puzzles. Hot Fuzz, don't get me wrong, you're going to see a lot of combat coming up. But it's definitely more puzzle-based, I'd say, than Jurassic World by far. So now we're setting up here another crime scene. I think this is the last one for this first level. And he's going to say, let's meet at the hotel. And after you beat a level, at least towards the end of a level, you'll get one of these golden keys. And this pretty much applies to every level, I think, that I got to play, all 10 of them. But yeah, so then you insert the golden key, and this usually will lead to the final room. And then you collect the golden crown at the end of every level. And yeah, that's how you complete a level. And then it shows you all the collectibles that you got throughout that level. So now we're moving on to the second level of Hot Fuzz. This is called Rumble in the Ruin. And so if you've seen the movie, you'll be familiar with this scene where he gets attacked in his room here. Except he's got a lot of his friends kind of helping him out. You know, like Danny wasn't in there while he was getting attacked. Now there was the Swan. And by the way, Nicholas Angel's melee attack is that little flower pot, which is pretty hilarious. So for this second level, Rumble in the Ruin, I'm playing as Danny Butterman. And we got to follow one of the villains from the movie. I can't remember the name of him off the top of my head. This is a scene that we saw in, I think it was the IGN Live gameplay, I want to say. At the time, I had no idea what franchise this was representing. But yeah, so this is, you know, we're only on the second level, but as you guys know, we're already kind of like in the last, I don't know, 30 minutes or so of the movie. I guess because there's not too much action in the beginning of Hot Fuzz. So all 5 levels are kind of the second half of the film. But so Danny Butterman has a shotgun as his ability. You can see there at the bottom left, the timer, the HUD got kind of glitched there before, but anyway. Also, the recycle machine, so we haven't showed these off yet. So after you drink a Funko Soda of any kind, you'll drop the crushed up, you know, bottle, and then you can take it over to the recycle machines that are found throughout the game. And you can deposit them and get a few little pieces of vinyl out of it. So kind of a cool mechanic. I'm not sure how much, you know, how often people are going to do that, but it's pretty cool. And so we've unlocked this chest by completing the objective, taking out all the enemies. Gives us this key card that we can swipe to turn on the security cameras, then, you know, solve the next puzzle. So yeah, lots of puzzle action in Hot Fuzz, I must say. I do want to talk briefly about Cameo levels. So I didn't have access to Cameo levels in this build, simply because whatever you need to do to unlock the Cameo level for Hot Fuzz, for example, you need an ability from a different franchise that I didn't have access to. So, by the way, so the Cameo level that you're going to find in Hot Fuzz is Jaws. So Jaws will be found in Hot Fuzz, and then Jurassic World, the Cameo level that you'll find in Jurassic World is Back to the Future. So Back to the Future and Jaws are confirmed to be Cameo levels, not main worlds in the game. And before, I thought Jurassic Park was a Cameo level within Jurassic World, but apparently not. That's going to be in a different world. So yeah, Jurassic World is confirmed to have Back to the Future hidden somewhere within it. But again, I couldn't access it. Also, Nope. They confirmed Nope is confirmed to be a Cameo level in the game. We weren't sure if that was going to be a cameo or one of the main worlds. Nope is a Cameo level. And it's going to be a pretty big Cameo level from what we've seen because the open world looks pretty large. And by the way, we are moving in now to the third level of Hot Fuzz. This level's called The Village People. So this is where Nicholas Angel gets completely suited up with a bunch of guns and stuff. Unfortunately, this doesn't really affect gameplay at all. You don't get access to all these additional weapons or anything. You know, Nicholas Angel stays with all of his same abilities. I think for this level, I'm going to switch characters again to Tony Fisher. Yeah, so we're switching over to Tony Fisher. He's got a different ranged weapon, different melee, and all that sort of thing. I haven't noticed anything different. Like, obviously, visually, every character has their own melee weapon. Like, Sergeant Fisher here has like a little traffic cone as his melee weapon, but I don't think the melee weapons perform any differently. I think they're all the same. Like, you have your light and heavy attack. And then the ranged weapons are kind of unique for each one. And yeah, so now we're kind of exploring. This level's pretty open. This is like the most open level, I'd say. Like, you have access to pretty much the entire world. So you have to fight these 3 different bosses. I forget the name of all these people, but they're all part of like the evil society within the town here in Hot Fuzz. And so for this level, it's very open-ended. Like, you have 3 targets that you got to take out, and you can take them all out in any order that you want. So this was the first one I happened to come across, but yeah, you can kind of explore at your own leisure, pretty much. And I imagine if you're playing co-op, you could kind of divide and conquer. Like, you could have one person go after this character, one person go after this character, and kind of take out all 3 that way. And right there's like some sort of puzzle that I don't think I had the ability unlocked to solve, so maybe that was how you get to the Jaws Cameo level. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the Cameo levels are discoverable in any of the 5 levels, or if there's a specific level that you have to be playing to discover it. It's a little unclear, but I just know each franchise has a Cameo level in it. And so this is the second boss fight. So this one, he gets on like the nearby scaffolding, and you have to kind of shoot at the scaffolding to get him to come down. You can kind of smack him around a bit. And there we go, we took out him. So then that just leaves one more villain for us to take out. It took me a while to find this one. So I was looking around everywhere, and I eventually found it. It was like in the ruins area. Right here you see a collectible, 2 out of 10. So there are collectibles in this game. So there are these silver crowns that you're going to fight, and there's a chest that you need all 10 of those plants to open. So you got your 7 silver crowns in each level, but then you also have different collectibles as well. Like, you have the plants in this level, and once you find all 10, it gains you access to a chest, which I think would give you a silver crown. So yeah, there's going to be loads of collectibles, and I'm planning on doing guides for all that stuff in this game, don't worry. But here I died again, and here you can see I bought myself back for 6,500 vinyl. So before it was 10,000, now it's 6,500. I don't know how it's being calculated. There's another collectible, Foxo body part. There's 42 of those throughout the game. You know, at the beginning of the game there, Foxo kind of got taken out by Eddy, and we had to do that boss fight. So you have to find pieces of Foxo kind of throughout the game, I believe. That's kind of what that's implying there. And I think there's a character in the main hub that you kind of give those parts to. So here's another crime scene. Here's a gargoyle that you find from the crime scene that you then can kind of hit and cause it to fall down to gain access to the floor below. So some more puzzle action there. And by the way, like the mold machines and pop boxes where you switch characters and things like that, those are found like all throughout the game. Like, they're loaded. Like, just about every room, I feel like, has a mold machine or something on it. There's some more profanity right there, by the way. Blank off grasshopper. So yeah, they definitely don't hold back. It's like censored in the text box, but you know, it is there, so that's what gives this game, or part of what gives this game, the T for Teen rating. And so now we've taken out all 3 of the bosses for this level. And so now that gives us access to that golden key that I mentioned earlier that at the end of every level you get. And this gives us access to the Crown Inn. And then this level in particular had like an extra boss fight against the people in this little bar here. And this is kind of an interesting boss fight, so you couldn't attack them directly, but you had to shoot the different items above them to get them to fall down on the enemies running the bar. So kind of an interesting mechanic right there. And once you take them out, the fire will dissipate, and then there's a golden crown, and that'll complete the level. So you get a golden crown for completing every level in the game. And after you get so many golden crowns, that does give you access to future franchises. Like in this build, it was showing that you needed 4 golden crowns to unlock the next franchise or next main world in the game. But it was locked though, because I only had access to these 2. But I think in the full game, so you won't need to play through the entirety of a franchise to unlock the next one, I guess is what I'm saying. Now we're on the 4th level of Hot Fuzz. This one's called Aisle 4 Uproar. So this one takes place primarily in the grocery store from the movie. So this is when they all kind of charge in the grocery store. So you have to put all these shopping carts. I think you have to stack up like, I want to say it's like 5 shopping carts together, and that allows you to ram them into the front of the store to get inside. And there's going to be a boss fight once we get inside. So once we have all 5, there's a cutscene that plays. We bash our way in. Look at him playing with the little bear there. And then there's this kind of boss fight in the middle of the grocery store, which is really fun. Just like the fight scene in the movie. And so now we have to do the boss fight against this guy. And yeah, there are these other collectibles. Like that said 1 out of 5 when I shot the banana. So it's very similar to like the mini kits in the Lego games, where some mini kits will require you to find multiple items throughout a level. And so to defeat this boss, you have to get him to ram into these little teddy bear displays. So he's going to do a charge move. And so you have to get him to charge into the display, and then that allows him to be attacked. So yeah, the major boss fights, like the end of each franchise, those all seem to be very similar. Like it's a giant boss, and you have to shoot the weak spots, and then call in another character to help you out. But these kind of mini bosses in the game definitely seem unique, though. They all have used different mechanics and things like that, so I really like that. So now we're chasing Skinner a little bit more, and these little machines, they allow you to deposit vinyl, so you have to kind of store up your vinyl, and then if you have enough, you can spin your vinyl and get a silver crown out of it. So I think every level has one of those. It's sort of like your true Jedi in the Lego games. Like, you have to make sure you have enough vinyl to deposit it into that machine to get one of the silver crowns for that level. So it's sort of like having a true Jedi bar almost, because if you don't have enough, then you're not going to be able to get it. Now we're on the final level of Hot Fuzz. This level's called Model Citizens. And so this is where we're going to do the boss fight against Skinner, as well as Frank Butterman, sort of the main villain of the game, Danny Butterman's father. And so we have to get into the model display area. If you don't know, at the ending of Hot Fuzz, it kind of takes place in this model display of the village that the movie takes place in. And so we're trying to gain access to that. We have to solve this little puzzle to get the passcode. Once we do that, we'll gain access to this little model set, which is way bigger than it was in the movie, but it makes for a really good boss fight arena. And there, right there, you can see you're required to have almost 5,000 vinyl. Also, look at this. When you get hit by fire attacks, like your face burns off, and you just become like kind of a skull head. And it kind of stays that way until you health up, which is kind of funny. So Skinner, his move is he does this like spin attack, and that makes him vulnerable. When he's not doing the spin attack, you can't really hurt him at all. And once we take out Skinner here, you're going to see like the main boss fight for Hot Fuzz come up. And oh yeah, here's the brutal scene where he gets kind of stabbed in the face here on the little cathedral model. Oof. Just like the movie. It does not look like it felt good. And here comes Butterman, and he just gets randomly overtaken by Eddy Funko. He becomes giant. And this is where, you know, we get kind of a repetitive boss fight here. Here I get taken out, and I have to go into ghost form. And here it's only 4,000 vinyl. Again, different price every time. Not sure why. But so it's the same mechanic here as before, where we have to shoot the weak spots, get the purple goop, deposit the purple goop into the canister, and then once it's full, then we can call in a character that's going to help us out to finish off the boss fight. So that mechanic is very samey. Here I'm using kind of my yellow Funko Soda to make me go faster. And so here the character that helps you is the swan, which we saw in the story trailer for the game. So this giant swan is going to come in and help you out. And yeah, that's going to pretty much do it for this boss fight. But yeah, guys, that was the bulk of what I'm going to show here for Funko Fusion, of what I got to play in this preview build. So outside of Cameo levels, there's also Cameo Quest. I didn't get to experience those. But so some characters like Xena Warrior Princess, for example, she's not going to have her own level or world. She's just going to be a quest that you find in one of the levels or worlds, and then you can unlock her as a playable character. Right here, this is what I was talking about earlier. So here it requires 4 levels to be completed, or 4 golden crowns, but it was locked off because this is just the preview build. So here there's like this central little floating area that you can kind of float up. It's like a shortcut to each of the floors in the Wonderworks factory. So it's very cool. You can't go all the way to the top. I guess there's a glass dome. You can't go to the top floor, which is where, you know, you have all your mold machines and stuff like that. So we have to manually walk up there, taking the steps. This is where we did the tutorial at the beginning of the video. And yeah, this is the main room. But yeah, guys, that is a look at Funko Fusion. So again, special thanks to 1010 Games for giving me access to this and letting me show this all to you guys. Overall, though, guys, I really enjoyed playing this game. You know, I have a few minor concerns with, like, the repetitive boss fights and, you know, some characters maybe feeling the same. But overall, this game is fun, and I think that's what's, most important. If I had to compare it to anything besides the Lego games, obviously, it might be Ratchet and Clank. It's very similar. With Ratchet and Clank, you have like your melee attack, and you have all the different zany ranged weapons. It definitely felt similar to that, I'd say. I don't know if anybody else is going to have that comparison, but that's just kind of something I thought of when playing through the game. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video, so be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, dislike if not, comment any of your questions. I'll try to answer those in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time here on Quick Break Games.